Ladies and gentlemen, I have something to confess. My name isn't Cal Silva. I'm Detective Copper of Copper's Clear Cut Services, and I was hired by Lewis before this party ever began. Diamond anticipated that unveiling a 100-carat jewel to Granite City's people might invite temptation. So I was brought in as a fly on the wall, and as it turns out, that precaution was necessary. The diamond wasn't stolen in the heat of the moment. It was carefully planned to be stolen at the end of Emma's performance, when the lights inevitably went out on the final fermata, as is her usual dramatic ending. That blackout created the perfect window to snatch the diamond. But how? Well, the combination to the display case had already been set prior to the performance. No hacking or cracking, just a few seconds needed for a quick pull of the lock. Simple, yet clever. Only 2 people knew of the lock's combination: Diamond and his butler, Gemsworth. Unfortunately, Gemsworth didn't get far. We found him dead, and Lewis even searched his pockets. But any good detective would have noticed that Gemsworth had a lump in his step this evening because the diamond was hidden in his shoe. Again, simple but clever. But a dead man doesn't have much use for a priceless diamond, does he? Well, folks, that's because he's not dead. He staged the whole thing. I did have my suspicions, which is why I made a call to GCPD. If he did in fact escape, they'd be on the lookout. Fortunately, I found him firsthand, attempting to leave through the back door. But let's get back to his fake death. He consumed an extremely high concentration of chamomile extract, enough to slow his vitals and induce a deep, sleep-like state. Dangerous, but convincing. He was then declared dead, and out of respect, his body was moved to another room, which gave him the perfect opportunity to leave the mansion while everyone else was at each other's throats. However, he did not act alone. This particular specialized botanical extract isn't easily obtained. It required overseas sourcing. It required someone to act as a voice of reason without raising suspicion. Lastly, this individual had to have their ultimate hiding spot away from Granite City. There was only one guest who could provide all 3 of these aspects: Dr. Goldberg. Dr. Goldberg alone had the trust to validate this fake death, but he also had a one-way ticket out of town. To his demise, he unknowingly lost it when examining the body. But even if he didn't, I put the pieces together already. Let me wrap this up for you all. At the mansion's last party, these 2 discovered their shared resentment for Lewis Diamond. Gemsworth was the disregarded servant, and Goldberg was jealous over Diamond's success. Their solution? Steal Diamond's most prized possession and reap the financial reward. They just needed the perfect moment. So when Gemsworth learned that Emma Rawld would be performing at the mansion, he had Goldberg attend one of her shows at the Blue Topaz to see if her performance contained any all eyes on me moments. The ending of her songs did just that. Whether it was her employer George Amethyst to dim the lights as usual, or Goldberg suggesting to her to do so himself at the party, those lights were going to go off one way or another. It was perfect. A clean theft. And a murder with no signs of blood, weapons, or anything physical. And no solid evidence tying anyone to either crime would result in no grounds to detain anybody present. Whether Gemsworth's absence made him look suspicious or not would be irrelevant. He would already be on a plane to Russia with the diamond. And Goldberg, cleared for lack of evidence, could leave Granite City behind for good and meet him the following day at their safe house. A good plan. But they underestimated the investigative skills in the room. GCPD will pull up any moment now. Lewis Diamond, I believe this is yours. Pleasure doing business with you, and feel free to help me escort these 2 outside. And for the rest of you, you are no longer suspects. So enjoy the party. Gemsworth and Goldberg, let's go for a ride.